You can listen to the Canadian Gothic early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Canadian Gothic.
Hello, listeners. Before we get into the episode, I want to take a moment and explain what you're about to hear. This week, the Canadian Gothic is taking a short break from new releases as I'm away traveling. But rather than leaving you here without an episode, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to re-release a past episode that covers a case that's very much unfolding before our eyes right now. Back in April of 2023, I released an episode that covered what was the then recent murder of Paul Schmidt. It happened outside of a downtown Vancouver Starbucks. What began with Paul asking a stranger not to vape around his baby escalated into him being stabbed in the neck in broad daylight in front of his family, as well as in front of Canada's least palpable ghoul who livestreamed the whole thing in what was probably the least sensitive way possible. At the time of this original episode, the incident was fresh, and many questions remained about what had happened and why. But here in 2026, in the present day, the trial against the man responsible is currently before the courts, and as a result, many of the questions being asked in this episode are being answered in real time. So this re-release is going to offer you a chance to go back to the beginning, to understand the events of that day, and if you choose to, you can follow along with present-day news headlines to see how this thing unravels in the courts. So whether you're hearing this story for the first time or returning to it with fresh context, let's get into it. In this episode, that was originally released and recorded in April of 2023, Madeleine Klein and I are going to discuss the murder of Paul Schmidt and the piece of shit that filmed it.
There's a growing memorial outside of Vancouver Starbucks for Paul Schmidt, who was fatally stabbed on Sunday. The 37-year-old was at the coffee shop with his wife and daughter at about 5:30 Sunday when he was stabbed following what police have called a brief altercation with another man. 32-year-old Inderdeep Singh Gosal was arrested a short time later and has been charged with second-degree murder. Paul's mother, Kathy, says the family is coping as best they can, but they are devastated.
This story, I think a lot of people won't know it as the murder or the killing of Paul Schmidt. Most people will know what we're talking about by simply the Starbucks stabbing, I think is how most people have referred to this.
Vancouver Starbucks stabbing, something like that.
Yeah, as this happens, it involves a stabbing that happens on the... It seems to be like the front step of a Starbucks in downtown Vancouver. Why don't you set the scenes a little bit? Where does this take place and when does this happen?
It's like right on the patio of the Starbucks on Pender and Granville Streets. Yes. And yeah, it's bright and sunny out. There are people sitting on the patio drinking coffees or beverages, and it's unfathomable what plays out.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, there's still a lot we don't know about what plays out, because this is a fresh story. This just happened on Sunday, the 26th of March. So just about 2 weeks from prior to when we're recording this. But what happens is a group of three arrived at the Starbucks. There's 37-year-old Paul Schmidt, who's engaged to Ashley, and they have their 3-year-old daughter with them, Erica. They arrive to the Starbucks. Paul stays outside Starbucks with his 3-year-old daughter as his fiancée goes inside to place the order or whatnot. So you can picture, again, it's 5:30 on a Sunday, well lit. This is downtown Vancouver. There's a lot of people around. Paul is standing outside with the stroller next to him, and trouble starts when a man is near Paul and his daughter in the stroller, who's, I guess I call it vaping, smoking an electronic cigarette.
I think most people would call it vaping.
Okay. So there's some interaction that happens where what we know is that Paul asks or tells or in some way communicates to this man, don't vape, or please don't vape that close to my 3-year-old daughter, which I think is a very reasonable request.
Right. And not only that, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be smoking anything on those patios to begin with.
Yeah, it has the same. I don't vape or smoke, but there's a certain distance you need to be from the door and all this stuff.
Right.
So
it wasn't an unreasonable request any way you look at it.
The man that Paul Schmidt asks to not vape there is a 32-year-old named Inderdeep Singh Gosal. There is some altercation between the two. We don't know what it is, what was said, or what happened, but at some point, seemingly immediately, or very quickly at least, Inderdeep Gosal pulls out a knife, stabs Paul once in the stomach, or the abdomen, shouts an obscenity at him, something along the line of, like, you B word. I'm not going to say it. And we know what happens next, and we'll get into that shortly, but there's been video leaking that has been posted on the internet that shows what happens immediately after the stabbing. We don't see, anyone who's seen the video, I don't believe you see the knife go in, but you do see Inderdeep Singh Gosal say something like "you be," and he starts walking back into Starbucks. We see Paul Schmidt clutching his abdomen. He falls to his knees and then lays flat immediately in a pool of blood. Like, it's shocking how much blood immediately comes out of this man. I've just made reference to a video, but I will also say I caution anyone who has the opportunity to not watch the video. It is absolutely horrific. Do you want to fill in any blanks that I left out in that initial description of what happened?
Well, I unfortunately watched the same video, and I watched it a couple times because it looks like at the beginning, it looks like they're inside at first, and then they come outside, and I think you do see him stab him, or you see them get close at least. And yeah, the reason I watched it a couple times is because I was looking for the stroller. I was looking to see, like, where is his child? And yeah, it looks like at the beginning, and mind you, this is a very quick video, and it's not enjoyable, but it looks like they're coming from inside the building, coming out from inside the building. But I don't know for sure. It could be one of those, like, indoor outdoor patios or something like that. But yeah, it's all very odd.
Yeah, well, it's whatever the video starts when the interaction's already, or the altercation or whatever, is already happening. So who knows if it happens regardless. It happens right at the door, so there may be some in and out that goes on. I think
that's why the person who recorded it started recording. There was a commotion going on because they were quite far away at first, and they kind of like jogged up, and then that all happened.
Yeah.
So,
but what ends up happening is, as soon as the stabbing happens, Paul Schmidt falls to the ground. It's quite clear that this is very serious. There's blood everywhere. You see Inderdeep Gosal, he walks into the Starbucks, and he immediately pulls out a phone, and he starts filming Schmidt on the ground. And then just on the balcony, like, I find this kind of shocking, is there's just a guy sitting there just drinking a coffee, like, right next to him. And
you can see him like look at what just happened. And like, I think he takes a sip of his coffee, and I wasn't there, so I can't.
There's people online who are critical of this guy for not jumping up and helping, and I can understand that. But at the same time, I think if like seconds after this unfolds in front of you, I don't know what my reaction would be other than shock. If that was me,
exactly, it'd be surreal. You'd be like, "What? That's yeah." You wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah. Fortunately, there was a police officer very near where this happened, so and a lot of people witnessed this. Somebody notified the cop of what was going on. They arrived at the scene immediately. Inderdeep Singh Gosal did not resist at all. Just went with the cops. Was arrested. Taken away. They brought Paul Schmidt to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. He all but died within minutes of this happening due to the intense extreme.
I can't believe how fast it happened. Yeah.
I've seen commenters online who are disputing this fact, but it's said that the suspect in the murder, who's been charged with his murder, Inderdeep Gosal, has had no prior has no prior criminal record. Although I do see a lot of people online saying there's more to that than meets the eye. So we'll learn more about that as this unfolds.
I imagine because the article I read said they couldn't find any priors in the province of Ontario.
Okay.
I imagine maybe he's got priors elsewhere, but I don't know.
Yeah. This is Vancouver's sixth homicide of 2023. This happens in a part of Vancouver that is seen as a rough, like Granville Street is like seen as like a bad part of town. So this happened in a challenging part of Vancouver. But the brutality of it, the fact that his 3-year-old daughter witnessed this, his fiance is inside, the idea of a father of a young child losing their life in this horrific, brutal way. As a dad myself, I just find that like too upsetting and unimaginable to even like discuss.
Well, it's so unfair, so unnecessary.
Over something so stupid in this case.
Yeah.
The other part of this story, so there's not a lot that we know about the murder and the altercation at this point. That's again so close to it happening, but that's certainly something that's going to come out, and we're going to understand, and we'll likely learn in the near future Gasol's version of why this had happened and what his defense is, if assuming he's going to have one. But the other side of this story is, we've already said both of us have seen this brutal video. And people across the world have seen this brutal video of Paul Schmidt's last moments. Like if something like this happens to your family and someone you care about, that's horrific. But if the video of it ends up online and goes viral, that's a whole nother thing. I'm going to play a short clip from I think this is from a CBC News report, where members of Paul Schmidt's family, his mom and dad specifically, discuss the pain of having this graphic video being shared around the internet.
Schmidt's parents, Kathy and Stan, say their grief is compounded exponentially because so many people have watched and shared their son's final, brutal moments.
We're really angry, disappointed in people that would post it. And it gets reposted. And the avenues that it gets posted on, Twitter or whatever, that it's allowed to go on there. Like it's a murder scene.
Schmidt's family members have been calling social media companies to remove the video.
For it still to be out there, that's the problem. We've asked Twitter to take it down. We've got people, family members that are working day and night, just reporting and deleting and reporting and deleting. That's all they're doing to try and get this stopped.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Please take the video down. Please don't watch it. It's horrific. It's brutal. It's hurtful. Just stop posting it. Stop looking at it. Let us be in peace.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's heartbreaking to imagine going through it. Like, this is a brutal murder. Even if it was like a car accident or something and people had, like, I don't know, photos of your loved one, like anything like this, just to have that be public, but especially this violent, horrific incident like that. And to say it's gone viral, like I saw several versions of it posted around that had in the hundreds of thousands of views.
Well, that's the thing. Something like this happens and it's so horrific. I know that like it would make me lose a lot of hope in just like humanity itself. And then it goes one step further to, going viral or being shared online. I'd be like, what is wrong with you all? Like, for the record, I watched it for this specific podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I usually avoid stuff like that.
Well, there is a lot of people who are seeing it unintentionally because they have like autoplay on. So you open a tweet that has the video and it just starts playing. And the video is so short that it's just boom, it's there. But I want to get more into the video because I think we know more about the guy who filmed the video and the story around him and the release of this video than we do about the actual event. But I think, as upsetting as it is to hear about a young father being killed in front of his fiance and child, the story of Alex Bodger, the young man who filmed the video, is, I wouldn't say equally as upsetting, but man, it is upsetting. So first, I'm going to give you, there's kind of two versions of his story. The guy who filmed it, the guy that the family is so upset with for having filmed this rather than doing something. There's the version that he is telling today, which I call the backpedaling. And then there's the version that he told in the days after filming it and getting a bit of like viral stardom. So let's start with his current version. So in the video, as it's filmed, he's running from across the street, filming, Alex Bodger is, as Paul Schmidt falls on the ground of Starbucks, bleeds to death, and and dies. That video
in real time.
In real time. Eventually, Alex Bodger puts the camera on himself, where he's filming his face, and behind him, Paul Schmidt's body is on the ground, and Alex Bodger is basically like reacting to what just happened. I'll let you hear the audio of that just to get a sense of his initial reaction, because he will go on to defend this when he talks on CBC.
Such a chaos on us. This motherfucker just died, bro. He just died, bro. Holy fuck.
So in that video, Alex is standing right on the edge of the patio. Paul Schmidt's body seems to be 10 feet behind him. He's holding the camera in a way that his face is in frame, and Paul Schmidt's lifeless body is behind him. You can hear Paul Schmidt's fiance screaming and crying as he's kind of reacting. This mother just died, bro. This guy just died, bro. So obviously not a empathetic.
He's a vile piece of trash.
Way to react.
Is what he is.
Oh, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, Madeleine. But he goes on CBC not long after. And here's the version he gets. He defends kind of his smile. He's smiling as he's saying, this guy just died, bro. So he goes on CBC and explains why he is smiling. But this is where his backpedaling story comes in. But then we're going to go back and hear about all the videos he made about this that CBC probably didn't see. But here's him on CBC talking about filming this. And I love the way they describe him. Listen to this.
Alex Bodger took that video. He describes himself as an influencer and says he's obsessed with becoming famous on social media.
I find street fights pretty cool, so I ran up to take a video. Not really understanding the full grasp of what was happening, I continued to videotape.
He says he didn't initially post it online, rather shared it with the police and other bystanders. But when he saw it was getting many views, he retweeted it.
It really didn't register until the next morning. And so in the moment, it was like, holy crap, I just witnessed this. I didn't fully understand what I just witnessed. And the next morning I woke up, the screams are playing through my head.
Bodger has been attacked online for taking and sharing the video, and he doesn't think people should be posting it anymore.
It is not doing anybody good anymore. At first it was, it blew up. Everybody knows what's going on now.
So that's kind of his backpedaling. He's like, it got out there. He says, I didn't post it, and, it's not doing anybody any good. But he kind of has a soft approach. He also says, like, I didn't know, what was happening until the next day that it kind of hit me. So that's one version. He also
That's sociopathic behavior.
Oh, he's straight up lying, I believe. And he also makes a video that he puts on his own TikTok where he's kind of embracing the backpedaling narrative. So I'm going to play that as well. This is Alex Bodger talking to his very small amount of TikTok followers about it's like he's kind of backpedaling, but he still comes across as an awful person. Here is that.
Starbucks stabbing fam. So I'm walking down the road. I thought I see a street fight. I thought it was just a street fight, right? So I start running over there, I start videotaping, and I see some blood, and so I just thought maybe like there was a bloody nose or something. My brain wasn't really allowing me to believe what just happened, and I knew he was dead, but at the same time, and so like this is my first time ever experiencing this, right? So like my brain's just like, he's dead, like, and so I just start screaming because I don't know what the fuck else to do. The murderer is standing right there. All that's going through my head is like, holy fuck, I'm standing right here screaming he's dead while the murderer is right there. What if he comes at me and fucking kills me? But I'm in so much shock, I'm just standing there doing this. And then I had what I thought was the most controversial thought of my life, which it was controversial, where I'm gonna say Satsi Kesanias. This motherfucker, but the motherfucker just, that part, like that smile on my face, that was out of uncomfort. I was so uncomfortable, I didn't know what just happened. Like, that's how I always am in uncomfortable situations. I put a little bit of a smile on my face, you know? And like, I'm sorry for the people that it pissed off. I'm not condoning the posting of these videos. I've been called by the homicide unit. I shared my grief. Like, yeah, like, this shit, it doesn't faze me too much, only because like I've seen like I'll just say human life, to me, the way I look at it, if I don't know you is meaningless. It's meaningless. I'm just keeping it straight up. But yeah, he's dead. What can we do now?
Okay, I call that backpedaling. It's a very soft backpedal because he still comes across as an utter piece of crap at the end of it. But
I call that textbook psychopath.
yeah, he's explaining away, or he's trying to explain away the video where he's like, he's dead, bro, with him behind him. He's saying like, you know, I didn't know what was happening. I was just, you know, I was nervous, and that's why I'm like smiling and laughing. And he described saying, I had this controversial thought, you know, he's dead, bro. And I just said it. But then I think he can't help but being like proud of himself for having this viral moment. And that's always like human life to me, the way he's talking. I absolutely hate this guy.
Well, it just keeps getting worse. Like, he keeps doubling down throughout the video. And I don't believe a word out of his mouth. Mm-hmm. He knew exactly, like, and I also laugh when I'm uncomfortable or nervous. This wasn't an uncomfortable situation. This was a like major traumatic event. And if you didn't know enough, if you didn't know what to do other than call 911, there's a problem.
Yeah. And even
what's wrong with you?
Like, even if you don't know what to do and you can't figure out to call 911, to go in selfie mode,
to do that
and kind of like cheerlead a guy dying behind you in front of his 3-year-old with his wife like bawling and crying. The police aren't even on the scene yet, and that's what you're doing. Like, what kind of world do we live in? But here's where it gets worse. There are videos that he took that I believe they were shot that night after this had all happened, where his videos and his posts are like going viral. They're getting lots of hits and lots of traffic. And I think he's just so like engulfed in like his moment of fame that he makes a series of videos that have now been deleted. He certainly doesn't want people to see these, because as much as you dislike him now, this is the icing on the cake. The next one I'm going to play is a video where he's just talking to his camera and describing this as a dream come true to finally have the opportunity to film something like this. And this is so upsetting. Listen to Alex Bodger's celebration of filming this guy get killed.
Get slizzied in front of your own 3-year-old kid, man. Like, Paul got smoked. Everybody's getting mad at Gora Pecora. Why you film? Why do you help stop? Bro, if Paul really had that dog in him, he wouldn't have got slizzled right in front of his 3-year-old kid, man. Like, how do you do that for your 3-year-old kid? Yo, y'all can't be coming at me, fam. This guy's a pussy, man. He gotta change his name from Paul Schmidt to Paul Schmote, man. I'm telling you. And everybody's like, yo, Gora Pecora, why you filming it? Bro, I used to watch these like leaky gore videos on my phone all the time. So when I saw this, it was like, holy shit, this isn't on my phone. I actually get to film one of these now. So I was like, holy shit, this is a dream come true to film one of these, because like I used to always watch like best gore, all this type of stuff, right? So to like actually see it in person and be the person that gets to film one of these videos, that younger kids like me who used to watch these videos get to be like, holy fuck, this man got smoked, Paul got smoked.
Can you imagine a loved one gets stabbed outside of a Starbucks and that guy is the one guy on scene with a cell phone in his hand? That he is the worst person in Canada.
And like, I imagine, like, I hope his parents are so embarrassed.
Well, I hope his name is everywhere, and that when you Google his name, what comes up is like these videos of like, this is an awful person who did this to this family, and his way of reacting in the midst of tragedy is to film and laugh and brag and gloat and
Well, and that's why maybe it's so bizarre and confusing, is because his actions aren't illegal, but they sure feel like they are. Like, it sure feels like he should be punished in some way, because
well,
that, like, who acts that evil?
it's
Who
not
said-
yeah, it's not illegal to be like that vile of a person, but like
No, but it
the-
should be.
I know, but that specific video where it's like, you know, if he had that dog in him, that like it's like, man, if that is your take and you're putting that out there after seeing this guy get killed in front of his family, it is so awful. Like, I couldn't talk that way after seeing like an insect get killed,
No,
let alone an animal, let alone a
exactly.
human being. But yeah, I don't even know how to react to it other than just like it upsets me that there are people in this world that are like this, and that they're out
And so
there
openly.
so openly and kind of unapologetic about it. Like, he didn't apologize. What he did, I think, as we see in that CBC clip, he kind of backpedals a bit, maybe, certainly.
Because he had to.
Yeah.
Someone told him, like, okay, this is what you gotta say.
Yeah. And,
Because he was absolutely not smart enough to come up with it himself.
and sadly, I got one more. Alex Bodger's not done gloating about this and bragging about filming it. He made another video in which he blames Paul Schmidt for the entire thing. That said, we don't necessarily know what happened in the altercation between Paul Schmidt and Inderdeep Gosal. Alex Bodger was there, so maybe, you know, we can
Was
take
he, though?
Yeah, I guess
he was there after. Like, he also doesn't know what happened.
Yeah, that's a good point. He was across the street and heard a commotion and ran over. But
Yeah.
regardless, in this next video, he is going to give his take on why he believes, in his vile, horrific way, that this whole thing is Paul Schmidt's fault. And I don't know, but it seems to me Alex Bodger kind of says I would have done the same thing that Inderdeep did. So listen to this.
Yo, bro, I'm not even listening to this media. Like, they don't even think logically. This whole stabbing was all the white guy's fault. Paul, he deserved to be stabbed. If it's a Sunday and I'm on a street where I just heard 1 month ago there was somebody who got stabbed by machetes and all this stuff, and I'm just standing there hitting my vape, and you're like, oh, don't hit your vape. Oh, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna beat the shit out of you? And then you just come walking up to me super randomly on this street where all this fucked up shit happens. Man, if I'm not on probation or anything like that, you might get stabbed. That's just how it is, especially a brown boy. The only time I have ever heard of somebody getting stabbed in the Lower Mainland of people that I know, it was always a brown boy. It's all his fault, and now y'all are coming at me because I took a video. Well, guess what? I got that shit right in 4K. I did not post that video. What happened was I airdropped it to people because everybody's coming up to me, oh, can I see the video? Can I see the video? After the murder happened, right? And then fucking boom, I just airdrop it to everybody. And then they do their thing, right? But it's how it is. Don't just walk up to some fucking random brown boy trying to fight him and don't expect to get stabbed. Like, it's Canada. We're not in fucking heaven right now. We're not in the fucking, you know, like it's Canada, bro. It's cold out here.
Luckily, that is the end of the Alex Bodger clips. But
the opinion no one asked for.
Seriously. This story, when people see online the story of the stabbing at the Starbucks in Vancouver, of course, we hear about Paul's life and death and leaving a family behind. We hear about the pain this video has caused his family, but I think we've yet to hear like how this culture of like filming these things and posting it online. And that's something we've got into before. We've covered at least one other story that prominently featured
Serena McKay.
Yeah, Serena McKay. It prominently featured her beating murder being like live streamed on Facebook. And I think it was Facebook that it was live streamed on. But regardless, there's this, with everyone with phones in their pocket, it only takes, something happens. It only needs to be one vile, awful person like Alex Bodger there. And the stuff, it gets broadcast online to just permanently haunt, the people left behind.
And it's so horrific. And the way he tries to almost justify it, and he's saying it's a dream come true. He's followed these gore sites or whatever. It's like, that's apples and oranges, like what you're comparing right now.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, but I have a feeling that like there has to be new laws either coming or already being put into place. There's no way you can film a murder, post it, gloat about it, and have that be legal. There's no way. There's no way that's like, yeah, definitely not ethical, but there should be some sort of repercussions for that.
There should be. And then there's
if you can get criminal charges for bullying, you should be able to get criminal charges for that.
Yeah. And I understand like his parents, Paul Schmidt's parents, expressed frustration with trying to get the videos taken down. I don't even think it's possible. Like, I think once something is filmed, it gets posted
forever
on the internet, and especially when it goes viral, because you can fight with Twitter and Facebook and YouTube to get them taken down. But there's a billion other like small sites that would host a video like that you don't have the time to find these like billions of them.
Absolutely.
And eventually there's going to be, it'll end up on sites that, don't respond to Canadian authorities asking them to take it down because they're hosted in some other country that could give a crap what, this anyone thinks.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's there forever, but I don't know. The fact that this guy can do this, talk about it, go on CBC
with such confidence too.
Yeah, and remain untouched.
And arrogance.
Yeah, it's awful. I did watch an interesting piece about the bystander effect. They had a psychologist on, I think this was a global news piece. They had a psychologist on, and this kind of resonated with me because we talk about how, there was one guy on the patio drinking a coffee. There's people walking down the street. There's Alex Bodger running up with his cell phone as Paul Schmidt lays dead or dying on the patio. This idea of the bystander effect is that if you're the lone witness to an event, like if I'm walking down the street and there's a elderly lady walking towards me and she slips on ice and falls, if I'm the only person there, it's highly likely that I will run towards her, offer to help, see if she's okay, call 911, and just try to take control of the situation. But the bystander effect is this idea that the more people that are there, the lower the chances anyone will intervene. So if there's two people in that same situation, I'm walking, there's someone, coming in the opposite direction, and that old lady falls, I'm less likely as a person to charge in and try to help, because I'm going to look over to that other person like, what do we do? What are you going to do?
You guys are going to do the
like you,
thing.
me,
like the me. Are we gonna? Who's doing this?
Yeah, and all of a sudden we feel less responsible because it's not, I can screw up because that other guy should have called 911. And if there's five people there, the feeling of responsibility is even further diminished. And as I was listening to the psychologist describe it, I was like, ooh, like, he's onto something. But, well, not even onto something. Like, I can understand that because I've been in situations where I've seen things happen with multiple people and have looked around like, is anyone doing anything here?
Well, even like I've heard of murder cases or not murder, I shouldn't say murder cases, but like rape cases of, a woman escaping and running down the street screaming and many people hearing, but all of them said someone else is going to call 911.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of the same idea. Yeah. Someone else will do it.
But in this situation, when Inderdeep Gosal stabs Paul Schmidt, he stays on the scene. He's just standing there. He walks back in Starbucks. He's standing there filming Paul Schmidt. And I don't know why he's filming or what's happening with that video, but I think if I was on the scene, my first thought would probably go towards self-preservation. I would probably, let's say if I'm the guy on the patio drinking that coffee, I would probably jump up, get off the patio to get away from the nut with the knife and call 911.
I would have bailed so fast. Yeah. Call 911 from afar.
Yeah, or at least like out on the street or somewhere where if I need to, I can run away. Like looking at the Inderdeep Gasol, again, looking at that video, I'm pretty confident I could race him in a street race on my feet. But my first thought would be like, I don't want to be cornered on the patio with this guy. Get me off this patio.
Because he's pretty calm. He don't care about nothing.
Yeah, he looks, and if you've seen the video where he gets where he gets arrested and they walk him to the police vehicle, he's just as calm as a carrot, calm as a cucumber. He's just walking.
Cool as a cucumber.
Cool as a cucumber. He's just walking there, and that's why it leads me to think, like, what's his story going to be? Like, I wonder if there's more to it where he thinks this was justified in some way.
Yeah. Oh, he's so out to lunch and narcissistic. He really believes he's in the right. He too may be a psychopath, which is amazing because like that's only 1% of the population, and 2 were at that Starbucks at that same time.
Yeah, but it's like we see the videos of Alex Bodger. I dare say, like, I don't know who is the most hated person at this Starbucks that day. I guess the jury's out when we find out what happened, but it's this story. I think the reason why it really fits in the context of being discussed on Canadian Gothic is it's 2 brutal stories in one. It's 2 brutal events wrapped up into one story. A young father dies in front of his family in the public eye, in broad daylight, in the middle of a major Canadian city. Then we also see an innocent bystander inject himself into the story and prove how awful humanity can be. And it's like, what are the chances that someone that vile is the person on the scene?
It's quite the dark domino, this story.
Yeah. It's all, I need like what's it called? Like a palate cleanser after this. I need to I think after tonight's episode, and after watching those videos, the first thing I'm going to do is delete every video of Alex Bodger off of my computer because I never want to hear that guy's voice again.
Well, it's because the emotion we're all feeling is disgust. We are disgusted with this vile piece of trash. Because that's the only thing you can feel toward him. Maybe that and anger.
After hearing, I want to go back to one thing, is after hearing Alex Bodger blame Paul Schmidt, saying like, of course she got stabbed for doing that. And after hearing him be like, if he had that dog in him, like imagine doing this, he's a pussy doing this in front of his kid. Like after hearing all those videos, I want to go back to again hear him on CBC backpedaling. And I again want to appreciate the way they introduce him. Listen to this one more time.
Alex Bodger took that video. He describes himself as an influencer and says he's obsessed with becoming famous on social media.
I find street fights pretty cool, so I ran up to take a video. Not really understanding the full grasp of what was happening, I continued to videotape.
He says he didn't initially post it online, rather shared it with the police and other bystanders. But when he saw it was getting many views, he retweeted it.
It really didn't register until the next morning. And so in the moment, it was like, holy crap, I just witnessed this. I didn't fully understand what I just witnessed. And the next morning I woke up, the screams are playing through my head.
Bodger has been attacked online for taking and sharing the video, and he doesn't think people should be posting it anymore.
It is not doing anybody good anymore. At first it was, it blew up. Everybody knows what's going on now.
As we're watching that video, I recall something we didn't mention. So Alex Bodger there talking to CBC saying it wasn't until the next morning that I realized the gravity of the situation. That too is like, that doesn't help him any because we know that the next day he went to the scene and filmed a video of himself. He's just kind of standing there with his face in the frame. In the background, you see the front door of Starbucks and he's just like laughing and kind of like he has music playing. He's kind of like dancing and laughing as a further way to just be like, what I filmed was awesome and I'm amazing.
And also, I didn't mention, did anyone else realize in one of his videos that he posted himself, he says something about he's dealt with his grief.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. If he somehow tries to play the victim out of this, I will just lose it.
I think he said like, I expressed my grief, meaning like I don't know if he's trying to say like I told people that I felt bad, because that didn't really come across in his like Paul got shizzled or whatever he said.
And then returning to the scene, like that's just adding another layer onto
it's just
the psychopathy.
It's beyond doubling down on it.
When he realized, he was like, "Oh, I'm not being perceived as I want to be."
Yeah,
they don't like me. Yeah,
this is something else. Let's never do one this awful again.
I agree. I hope that there are no more Alex Badger or Bodgers around. Yeah, he is just awful.
You should need a license.
They're both awful.
You should need a license to get a cell phone and access to the internet. I am now lobbying for that.
I love that idea. License, maybe an IQ test.
Or just like an empathy test.
You can't teach empathy. If there's anything that I've learned, but I guess they're just testing. So it's like yay or nay if you get the phone or not.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to teach anyone.
Well, let's start wrapping this up, Madeline. This was a tough one. This weekend, like this weekend while I was like kind of preparing for this and learning about the story, I was enraged, being like, I cannot wait to just get this out and get over this guy, because I'm so upset by him. It's every single thing about him bothers me. And then at the same time, I can see aspects of my own life in Paul Schmidt where, being a father, I would have been, when my kid was 3, I would have been like the same age as he was, working a job, standing outside of a Starbucks with my stroller. I probably would have had headphones in listening to a podcast, because that's all I generally do in public. But no one should die that way. And no matter what happened within their altercation, what was said, stabbing someone in the belly with a knife.
There's absolutely no version of events that could ever justify what happened.
Yeah. No matter what the altercation was or what happened, Inderdeep Gasol could have walked into the Starbucks to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
It seems to me, if things were going south, if he's going to claim self-defense, I would like an explanation of why, before you resorted to pulling out a knife and stabbing him, you couldn't have gone into the Starbucks and asked for help, or, but
I wonder if we'll get the details.
I don't know why we wouldn't, because a Starbucks is going to have security cameras. Inderdeep Gasol filmed some aspects of it. There's other
I wonder if it'll be public knowledge. I wonder if we'll get to find out.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Okay. Good.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. I'm sure we'll have something else to talk about that's not as horrific as this, but going to be dark next Sunday night.
Oh, there's never a shortage of options.
Well, I appreciate another night of your company, Madeline.
I appreciate you having me.
I want to thank you for joining Madeline and I for this episode of the Canadian Gothic. Although we discuss video of Paul Schmidt's final moments, I want to encourage any of you, even with a morbid curiosity, not to seek it out. And with all that said, I'm going to start wrapping up this episode, but before we part, I have some thanks. A big thanks to Monty Data, who contributes the music for the show, Linz from the Dystopian Simulation podcast, who provides my intro and outro voiceovers, Madeleine Klein, who joined us for the episode, and then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, the Canadian Gothic would be as pointless as it would be impossible. And on the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers to the premium feed, Phantom Punkett, Sarah, and D. May E. Thank you for going premium. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can do it in a variety of ways. First of all, that premium feed I just talked about costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money funds the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes 2 days early, get them to you ad-free, and give you access to a back catalog of episodes. You can learn more about the premium feed at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media and letting all your like-minded friends know they should listen. Your support is very much appreciated. Now, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird.
Thank you for listening to Canadian Gothic.